Okay, guys. I wasn't gonna say anything, and a lot of my fellow YouTubers. Oh, hi, it's Butch, Fat Cat Guitars. Hi, one-legged luthier. Yeah. A lot of my fellow YouTubers have been on the bandwagon lately that everything that comes out of Fender is garbage right now, and Seth from Gorilla Guitar Repair goes on and on and on about uh, Fender Custom Shop's fretwork, and the only thing they really have nice is their hardware. And the other thing they go on and on and on about is how they can't get this right, where there's a hole for you could take the strings out of, but when you go to take the strings out, the strings are still up here somewhere. The black of the tremolo block is all you see. So you still have to take the plate off to get to the strings. So I wasn't going to make a bashing Fender video with this brand new Players Plus. I mean, it's still got the tags on it. Still got the tag on it. And I wasn't gonna make a bashing video. I was not. But here I am. So first thing first, I had to remove the back plate to get the strings off. Here they go. Here they go. Strings are rusty. Thing must have been sitting on the shelf for quite a while. I see a lot of dust on here too. So this must have been sitting. All right, so there we go. Now I got to unlock the tuners and get the rest of the strings off. And yeah, it's got locking tuners on it, which is really nice. Um, I can't say enough about like some of the good features that Fenders has been putting on their guitars lately. But here we are, and I will get to why this guitar is here in a moment. It's a brand new guitar, and it's in my shop. I love it. I love the finish. I think this is very nice. It's this faded fire something finish. I like it. I like it a lot. But we need to address some problems with this guitar. One of them being the setup. This can never, ever, no way in hell be intonated. It's not possible. That's not just how things work. So, and you can tell this has been restrung by somebody because you would not wind on a locking tuner. And somebody has wound on this locking tuner. Maybe had one string replaced or something, maybe. Let's see what the other three involve. You would only put maybe one wind on a locking tuner. Yeah, somebody has restrung this at one point. And they cranked on the tuner. Oh, there we go. I can get it off of there now. Yeah. Somebody has restrung this guitar at some point, or at least put one string on it. Um, as you guys know, I'm very good with my detective work here on what's going on with guitars and what's been done and what's not been done. So this one has had a broken G string at some point, and somebody replaced the G, and they don't know what they're doing because they wound windings on it. The rest of these strings are pretty rusty. The G was kind of new, so yes, it was replaced. So here's why we're here. Ow. You cannot run your finger up and down this neck without cutting yourself. So here we are. I've joined the club, the Fender bashing club. We're going to run some tape down the side here because it is a brand new guitar. We do not want to mar it in any way. So we're going to take some of this low adhesive Amazon bullshit tape and run it down the side here and down the other side. We're going to first get our leveling our straight edge out and make sure where our neck is complete and level and straight. Ow! I shouldn't have done that. See? I didn't want to make this video. Fender made me make this video. So here we are. I am a Fender fan. I've loved Fender since I owned one since I'm 12 years old, a 74 Stratocaster. This thing is dead straight. There's not a freaking hint of daylight underneath that at all. So we're in good shape. Now we're just going to go along with the fret rocker and check for level, because my boss does not want this guitar to have to go through a $130 full coarse level dress crown. No, these are pretty level. We're in luck. If there was one or two out, I would just give it a quick tap with the fret hammer. Just a little tiny rocker there. Nothing major. Nothing. Good. We can let that go. But what we can't let go is these ends. And that's where this comes in. This is an old jeweler's file with the tip broke off. There we go. Tip it broke off. So what I did is I filed these edges down with a belt sander so that they will not mar your fretboard. They are completely smooth. The only teeth are on this edge. The only teeth are on this edge. And what I do is we just get in here and we start. And look at, you can hear how bad that is. You can hear it grinding on the file. So this is going to take these aren't stainless frets, so it's only going to take maybe 8-10 swipes. And then we move on. And then we come back and do the other side all the way back down. We want to kind of go in a motion where you're kind of rounding over the end. But what I do is, especially nickel silver frets like these, standard fret wire, I'll make a few passes, and when I start hearing it, like lessen its grip on the file, that's when I know I'm pretty damn close to being done. And sure, we're not going to spend 3 hours in level and crown and dress. Well, dress takes a lot. So this is a. I'll probably charge my boss an hour for this, but it'll probably be more like an hour and a half. And then what we're going to do is, once we're done dressing, we'll go through with the sanding sponge and do an 800 over the end of the fretboard, and then 1,000. Make sure they're nice and smooth, and then we'll come back and we'll tape off the fretboard and we'll polish. We'll polish everything because they definitely need to be polished. But this is what we're doing. We are fixing factory faults. And then we're going to give it a setup, because look at that. That is not set up. Who in their right mind sets their saddle straight across? Not anybody that actually plays their instrument. So this is not. I will show you how far off it is when we get to the when we get it strung back up. Wow, listen to that one. That one's growling at me. That's really grinding. So's that one. So we're going to be here a while. I don't know. I'm still not sure. I'm still all new to this YouTube stuff. I don't know how to use UCut to make time lapse. So I don't know if I have to do a separate piece this time lapse, or do I have to, or can I just time lapse right in the middle of, like, just film this whole thing and time lapse right in the middle. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna shut this off for a minute, and I'm gonna start it back up. And if that, yeah, that's feeling better already. If that is going to be the piece that we'll use for time lapse, we will. So let's figure that out. Okay. I got to hold up a second here, guys. As I'm going along, I'm noticing that there's lacquer coming off. There's finish, poly finish, clear coat coming off of these frets as I'm filing them, and then I notice the lacquer's still on top of the frets. These frets still have finish on top of them. This guitar has never had the lacquer taken off of the fretboard. The factory's supposed to take the lacquer off of these frets and then string it up and set it up and do its thing. So this has never seen QC. This has never seen quality control, because the lacquer is still on top of the frets. I'm going to have to take a small chisel and go across the top of each fret and remove the lacquer off the top of the fret, and then polish all these frets after. So these sharp ends were lacquered over. What in the hell is going on here? No wonder there was no intonation on the bridge. It was just a brand new bridge. They just bolted it on there. Okay. I'm just flabbergasted. That's all. I'm sorry. Let me get the small chisel out. and I will show you guys what I'm talking about. I keep the protective ends on my chisels. These are very sharp. Let's take one right here in the middle. Look at the, zoom in. Look at the finish. I'll even bring you guys down. Hold on. I'll bring you down. Look at this fret. That is a lacquer finish. Still, I'm trying to do it with one hand here. That is lacquer finish still on top of that fret. Look at it coming off. So yes, we are going to have to level and crown and refile and dress these frets. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about it at all. Not at all. Brand new guitar. And this is what I'm encountering. This is why I'd rather work on something that's been in your basement, sitting in a mold. But here we are. I'm gonna get to work. Let me film some of it, and we'll do a time lapse if I can. All right.
Something down. I usually pick up a large chisel, even when the thing to be paired is comparatively tiny. The most used in my collection is this 1-inch width, 25 millimeters, but I also frequently use this 1.5-inch monster, which is 38 millimeters. The analogy to me, it's like a tightrope walker who carries a long pole. You know, it helps balance. And it also helps to gauge when things are getting out of level. Also, the sheer mass of steel behind the cut helps. You know, it doesn't want to chatter. It's very controllable. And, you know, I have tiny chisels too, of course. Here's one that I made that's like 1.5 millimeters or 1/16 of an inch. But this is not the tool to use in this case. I'm marking a point just above the level of the string holes in the tie block, which is about 10 millimeters above the soundboard, as it turns out. This will ensure that there's some break angle over the saddle, and it will be as low as it can go. So I'll plane down to there. I'll make the saddle surface area flat, because I'm going to be using a blind saddle slot this time. And also, there was no compensation factor in the original saddle placement. It was the exact scale length. It needs to move about 1.5 millimeters away from the headstock.
I don't know.
I'll pare away what remains of the plug.
Crowning file take these off?
And I'll fill any little crevices along the plug with some super glue and sand and dust. I'll mark the saddle position. For a repair person thinking about building a saddle slot routing jig like this, it pays to think ahead, because it's not always going to be a standard Martin size bridge. Some of the ones from the 60s and 70s, like on Epiphone, Gibson 12 strings from that era, they can be gargantuan. So give yourself some room. This is like 7.5 inches long. This would be about 190 millimeters by like 1 3/4 wide. And even that is not quite enough to do a couple of, you know, really bizarro bridges I've seen. This is an interesting situation I don't encounter very often, because this bridge is exceptionally tall. This tie block is like 13 millimeters, more than 1/2 inch off the top. Ordinarily expected to see maybe 3/8 of an inch, like 10 millimeters. So when I got my router set up, He wants to ride on top of the bridge rather than the landing areas on either side. So I'm going to probably take my adjustment strip here, which I normally use to dial in the depth that I want to cut. I rest the router on here and then lower the bit until it touches the top surface of the bridge. In this case, I'm going to double stick tape this.
Seems that the crowning file is doing better than the chisel.
Should give me, enough security when I'm
so we can get
slot.
2 jobs done at once. I've already chiseled these off, so.
Electromatic. I have to say, if I didn't have an electric guitar, which I don't, and I was to go out and purchase
I'm just
a new
doing the
one,
crowning.
there would be a pretty strong case for it to be an electromatic. I've liked every one of these that I've played and worked on in a bunch of different styles. This one looks like a dual jet. There's not a whole lot of information online about the history of these. I think they started being produced around 2005, this iteration of them, which is shortly after Fender purchased Gretsch. I like the American-produced models too, of course, but these things pack a whole lot of wallop for the price, In my experience, the front ends tend to be a little sharp after the first Canadian winter, but the fit and finish are right up there. This one was having a switch issue. Professional player doing regular gigs. No time for fooling around. Does not want it to happen again, even though right now it seems to be functioning kind of. I've been told to put a new Switchcraft in there. Switchcraft switches, which are the ones that are used in the American models, incidentally, they are way, way more expensive than the Asian imports. This is made in Chicago, and yeah, they're pretty bulletproof. Some slight modifications might be necessary. I have no idea. How will that not come off? It isn't like a set screw or something, isn't it? I don't see one. Well, we'll make it come off if necessary. Whether that's going to be a metric thread or whatever's on here, we'll see. I just know that the tip alone costs about $20. So if we can get away with not having to purchase one, that would be a good thing. Why use a wrench when you have a grip of steel? I think this was made in 2018, if I'm reading the serial number correctly. The plastic has not been removed. Close quarters. Shiny guitar. Trying to keep getting burned up. There isn't an extra millimeters worth of wire, so I'm doing everything inside the electronics cavity here. I've got the solder sucker, put a lot of solder on some of these, so I'll do my best to clear that out before I try and pull the wires. The metal frame on a switch actually represents quite a lot of metal. It takes a while to heat up, so I use a fairly large soldering iron for this, a 40 watt. Need the extra power.
There you go.
So I decided to go out and get
This
an
is
actual
lacquer
switch. This is
that was on the fret. That's what it is.
And
Lacquer that was still on the fret.
This is from the typical
Brand new guitar.
Asian import switch. Usually these are, you can tell.
This guitar was never set up to play.
Material, but also the orientation of the contact points.
I'm very upset about this.
A little bit different. From
I am a big fan of Fender.
Like they'll have the grounding lug will be
to have this happening is
frame, for instance. So you have to be careful when you're taking them apart to sort of,
it blows my mind.
Sure, which way things are oriented and where certain wires go. But looking at this Gretsch one, it's maybe a little different from some.
Yeah, I know TV's still on. I don't care.
Single breaker on this side that has like a doubled up pair of leaves, and on the other side you have contact points which are closed and then opened, so you have 3 leaves in a row. That's a little different.
This has
Usually
upset me
like a pair of
greatly.
links on either side of the switch body, so that pulling on one side will open one and the other. In this case, they're all on one side. It's interesting. Here's the standard switchcraft model. You can see it functions more like the import. Throwing the switch to one side breaks the
I'm just going down far enough till all the lacquer starts coming off the fret.
Current is running through both contacts at the same time. So we'll get that wired up.
You know, once we get all the lacquer off the fret, I'm pretty much stopping.
When it's cool,
These frets are brand new,
okay, just testing this out.
obviously.
This is
You don't need to be
the right
ground
switch.
down.
I think this is a Gretsch
We just need to get the lacquer off of it.
circuit that has an on-off-on function, because the center position does not give me both pickups, which is kind of infuriating. So I guess I got to do a switcheroo and switch out this switch for another switch. It's useful to have one of these contraptions. This is as far as I can pull the harness out. Remember, there's very little slack. And we'll tighten that up. Okay, a couple things. Number one, you'll note that USA made switchcraft jacks, even the ones that are listed in various guitar catalogs as chrome, they're nickel. Like, they're not that white-blue chrome that you get from, Gretsch, Asian-made product. It's very definitely nickel, so it's slightly warmer in tone. Just gonna have to live with it. The other thing is the switch tip here does not fit. This has an 832 thread. By luck, though, I think the ones have
this is
a
infuriating.
bore, which is significantly smaller.
This is infuriating.
Drill this out and tap it for 832. That's saving us like $24 or whatever it is for this little part. This is a tap with a thread cutter.
Brand new Fender.
Remember with these is that you want to advance and then retreat slightly so that there's room for the chip to break off and get expelled. So you go the full turn around and then back around half a turn or so. There's some nice interior threads, but not threaded far enough because the taps I own are designed to go through material. They have this conical end. So I'll lop the tapered portion off, creating
Look at
what's known
that.
as a
Look
bottoming
at the
tap.
chunks of lacquer.
Now we encounter the fact that the threaded portion on the USA made part is about 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters longer than the import, which means there's no way I'm going to get enough threads into that.
The lacquer's so thick the crowning file doesn't want to stay on the fret until it gets it broke off.
I do this with the part off the guitar, but I'm not unsoldering that thing a third time.
Look at all that. That is just incredible. I got it stuck to my skin now. The lacquer's just
Don't rest the heel
adhering to me.
The cut part. Use the freshly cut edge so that it won't have problems starting in the threads.
Here I thought this was going to be a 20-minute, half-hour job maybe, and then turned into an hour and a half job, and then now it's turning into a 3-hour job.
So smooth.
And this is just nuts. And that look at that. We'll clean this board down with naphtha when we're done. Get all the traces of this chipping lacquer off of it.
With a couple of coats of shellac. And scrape off these fragments of house paint / seagull doo-doo. I'll tint the still lighter colored areas with a marker.
Yeah, it seems the crowning file's working a lot better than the
to get a preliminary saddle height,
chisel was. Chisel was just taking the very top off and leaving it on the ends of the frets, on the sides of the fret. And as I was trying to dress the fret ends, there was lacquer coming off the fret ends. That's how I noticed this was going on. And
rounding.
And I'm like, okay, so they're not really
And of
gold
course, some of the nut slots
hued
are a little bit
frets.
too
They
high.
are lacquered over
Friends,
frets.
This is one of those that's always going to tug at me a little bit because
And that
I see
just,
the potential, but this is
like I
the
said, it
rational
distresses
stopping
me.
place. In order to make this play the way I
But
want
here we are, we're pretty much done with this. We got a couple more to go.
on like a $200 instrument. I've reduced the action as far as it can go and maintain sufficient break angle over the saddle, which yields us.
You can see the lacquer just coming off. The file's cutting it pretty nice.
But that's not the biggest concern. This short little neck here,
I have to clean my file now.
18 thousandths relief in it at the 5th fret. Way too much. It makes it very stiff. The remedy would be to pull all of the frets and press that out, focusing on the nut side of things, which would in effect tip the angle up.
There we go.
It would feel much better. We'd have
Finally.
more action. But the economics
See all
don't
the
make sense
dust.
for that. The thing
Get
is,
some
I like this
naphtha,
sound.
clean that up.
I can't play Puerto Rican music, but with this tuning, which is in fourths, it's B-E-A-D-G, feels very Celtic to me, kind of drony. It's good.
Naphtha is the best thing in the world for cleaning. Not the best thing in the world for your lungs, but best thing in the world for cleaning. See, that cleaned it right up. Now we'll continue with our fret work. Let's get the bevel file and just do it that way. That way it'll take all that lacquer off the end of the frets. Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's doing a great job. And it's taking down a lot of those ends, making them a little less sharp. And ooh, there we go. Let's see what that does. Yes.
All right, folks, it has been a while since we have done a run. So what do we got here? It is a 67 Barracuda. I am no real Mopar guy, so I don't know a lot or anything about these. But it is a bit of a project. A little bit of a project. It's kind of cool looking though. Let me turn on some lights here.
Definitely get rid of the lacquer on the edges.
So it's a little bit of a basket case. There's a little bit of everything going on here. And like
All right.
every project, it's
Before we push our luck any further,
now
we'll do that. Now we'll continue on
so much of a project is
with what we started with.
if I can get this thing to run down the road, like to see if it'll
Which is
party a little bit.
dressing the ends.
Anyways,
And we were about yay far in, I think.
somebody
Yeah,
started
there we go.
doing the cool green
So
paints
I'm
on
going
the
to continue this. I'm going to pause.
Kind of taken apart. I'm guessing it was.
I'll come
somebody
back.
Kind of start.
I just wanted to show you some of the lacquer coming off of this frets. This is still after I did the crowning file. You could still see bunches of lacquer coming off the frets. So I'm just documenting this. I'm not going to bitch. I'm not complaining, but I just think this is not the right way. And you can still see there's some still on. Look at that. 3-hour job turned into a 5-hour job. Okay, we're going to get ready to tune up here. All the strings are on. And this. See all these signatures on here? These people who supposedly inspected this guitar? This is a work of fiction. Look at this. This is not intonated. There, look at all this. Look at this was lacquer on the frets. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Lacquer on the frets. I've polished, I've recrowned, I've polished, and I have dressed the fret ends. No snag. You can run a rag up and down the end of the frets. There is no snag on it now. This thing is absolutely perfect. I do have to polish it a little more. I got it a little dirty. Got it a little dirty. Don't want it to be dirty. There's a little spot there. Something got on it. Must be, you know what? I bet it's a piece of that lacquer that got on there and it melted under the light here. But anyway, I digress. Here we go. We're going to tune this. Got 10 to 46 D'Addarios on it. We're going to tune it. We're going to tune it. All right, there we are. We're in tune. Here we go on the low E. And we're going to check this intonation. It's about a half step sharp. Yeah, somebody looked at this all right. It's got to come back away. So we're going to loosen the tension. And we're going to tighten this screw. We got to come back a lot. There we go. Dead nuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these with my eye, and then we'll check them and we'll fine tune them. But this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. And if you didn't know how to do this stuff yourself, you would be paying me to do it. Now I realize my boss just gave me a guitar out of inventory and said, hey, it's got to go. But he's a busy man, and if he had time, he would have seen all this. But this is what he pays me for. So this is getting a full still sharp. Gotta come back a little more. Yeah, it's got to come back a little more yet. we go. Perfect. All right. This has got to come way back. Let's try that. Look at that. My eye's pretty damn good. I like that. This one's got to come way back. Now you're starting to see why the bridge... You got our staircase starting here. Straight across doesn't cut it. Straight across doesn't cut it. Perfection. My eye's pretty good today. Come back a little bit. So this bridge was just put on. It was never set up. It was just put on. Look at that. Nice. Now we'll adjust the pickups where they're supposed to be. Pickups being too low, you don't get enough response out of them. They're too high, they'll squeal on you. I like leaving the middles a little low anyway. But the bridge here's got to come up. Middles I like leaving a little low because, you know, somebody like Yngwie or Richie Blackmore, they would bury their middle right down flat with the pick guard. And, you know, you don't get any of your middle pickup positions going on when you do that. So I kind of just like go half and half, you know. I just make it even. There we are. We're all done. All we gotta do is put the back on, which I gotta wipe all the lacquer off of. But I will see you at the tone test. Okay. Well, let me turn that on. An idiot. All right. We're back. This is a brand new Fender Players Plus series, brand new 2026. I'll put the tag back on it. Still had the tag on the peg head. We had to do extensive work to this because even though it's a brand new guitar, they didn't take any of the lacquer off the frets, and the fret ends weren't dressed, and they were so sharp they could cut you, and it wasn't insulated, it wasn't set up. So right now we're set up, we're intonated, and the frets are polished and dressed. And I love it. These are the actual Fender noiseless pickups. known as the push-pull. There it is. There it is. Now we have bridge and neck. Because of the noiseless pickups, bridge and neck sounds more like middle and neck. And middle and neck in the noiseless position is a little muddier and a little darker. Kind of hard to hold the guitar up and play it at the same time, but here it is. We're all done. I'm gonna, obviously we worked on this long enough that it's gonna be a weekly video, not a bonus. I thought it was gonna be a bonus video, but look at the fretwork we did. Everything is nice, rounded over the ends, no sharp ends. We're not hurting ourselves anymore, and no lacquer on the frets. So here we are, and it's intonated. Here we are, my Fender bashing video for you. It's great now. It's a fantastic guitar now, but it was about 3 hours of work. You can do better than this Fender. I had a Chinese copy of a Strat in here the other day, and it was leaps and bounds better than this thing. Leaps and bounds. Of course, the pickup sucked. The hardware wasn't as good quality. But as far as the fretwork and the setup and the playing right out of the box, got you beat, hands down. You can do better, Fender. You can do better. Hi, guys. I hope you enjoyed or at least watched the Fender bashing video. And now Fender has gone and sued the whole world, basically, for making Stratocaster copies. And but the patent had expired back in 2009, so, and they've been making Strat copies since day one. My personal feeling on this is that if you made a better product, if you made a product that was leaps and bounds above all the copies, then you would need to be doing this. Right now, you're selling $4,000 guitars that can't compete with $189 Leo Jams or a Firefly in quality. I mean, you get a brand new custom shop Fender, brand new Mexican Fender, brand new US Fender, and you can't run your hand up and down the neck without cutting your hand, then a $189 copy from Firefly comes in with rounded ball end stainless steel frets that are perfectly level and perfectly polished. What are you going to pick? I'd pick the $189 guitar and throw a $300 set of pickups in it and say, fuck you, Fender. And I think that's what 90% of the world's population does right now. So, I don't know. I might get demonetized for this because there's a lot of foul language in the video. A lot of foul language coming out of my mouth right now. I've been a Fender user since almost day one. I've been playing guitar since 1973. I'm going to be 61 years old this year. I've been a Fender man. My oldest guitar that I have in the shop right now is my 74 Stratocaster I've had since I'm 12 years old. I bought with paper route money. It's been 100 different colors. It's had 3 different necks on it. It's wonderful right now. It's got Joe Bonamassa pickups in it and stuff. It's incredible. But I've been a Fender fan. I am a Fender guy. And it pains me to say this, but Fender is screwing up so bad that now they're going to sue the world to stop making those copies. Those copies that blow them out of the water. And it just doesn't make sense. Make a better product and stop your bullshit. Get the freaking corporate minds out of your company. Go back to making guitars the way you're supposed to. Get the corporate heads away from the production line. And stop with the bullshit lawsuits. That's my advice to Fender. My advice to you, pick up every goddamn Firefly you can find right now. Pick up every Leo Jams you can find right now. Get a goddamn Glary. Some of those Glaries are pretty freaking cool, $50 fucking dollars. Get these cheap Amazon freaking Stratocaster copies right now. Buy them, modify them, play them, enjoy the fuck out of them. Tell Fender to fuck off. And maybe they'll stop their bullshit and learn the error of their ways. It's just... It pains me to say all this shit. Because I am a Fender fan. But I know what I see in the shop. I know what I see from my other fellow YouTubers. Shooting yourself in the foot, Fender. You really are. That's my take on the whole deal. I'm not going to mention it anymore. I get a guitar in the shop, it's going to be business as usual. I'm not going to bash on them anymore. I think my buddy Seth from Gorilla Guitar Repair does enough of that. I don't know. I love you guys. Keep playing, keep enjoying the instrument. Don't buy into all this bullshit corporate hype from Fender. Look what happened with Gibson when they were doing the Play Authentic thing. They shot themselves in the foot. They lost so many millions of dollars that they just dropped it all. So let's just enjoy the instrument and knock off with this bullshit. Tell the corporate fuckheads in Fender land, get their head out of their ass and go back to making real guitars that people want to fucking play and that people can play. And stop with all this lawsuit bullshit. This is Butch. Thanks for watching. Next week, back to business as usual. I promise.